All right, so I thought I would make a set of rules for my personal right wing attitudes and so on. And here goes: win the culture war against the left, win the culture peace with the liberals at least. And this is from a right wing perspective. Don't trust psychiatrists with what a priest can do, unless the priest obviously can't do it himself. Small government, low taxes is another rule. And that doesn't mean we abolish the welfare state entirely. It might even mean we're more generous with welfare, disability, and so on because of the efficiency, and therefore we can lower the taxes and provide more money for those who are the poorest amongst us, and so on. But also tying in with that is strong community bonds, which includes charity and like just being at the same church, and like someone needs a job and someone has a job opening that they can manage to do properly, and offering them the job because they know the guy personally, and so on. And truly local law enforcement of values. So we're talking municipalities or counties or small regions like that for the majority of governmental influence on the day-to-day living of a person, basically. Drive out the masses of invading foreigners. Lightly emphasize as official loyalty of the nation state to Christianity. And this is obviously for European and North American and British colonies and so on stuff. And also teach Christian history, English history, your own country's history, and your own area of the world's history a little bit, as well as your country, and Roman and Greek history. Those are my personal rules for being right-wing. As for people that I think have a lot more legitimacy than the left, that would be the Distributists, the Prudentialists, Sargon of Akkad, Orrin McIntyre, Nick Freitas, and Andrew Klavan, and Doug Wilson. James Lindsay, Jordan Peterson are sometimes useful people to listen to, I think, but they get a much more wrong than the previous names that I listed. On occasion, they're really forgettable names, but the slop right does exist from my experience in looking at people and so on. And they tend to be kind of not like those names I listed, except for James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson, except less deep in thought than Jordan Peterson or James Lindsay, while being more oversimplified for Trump in some way. Not that they don't have some good instincts, at least, but I find that their presentation is very antagonistic and hostile and very purely team sports motivated reasoning and so on. Another one is love your nation but hate the state, and that ties into small government, low taxes. Another one is if you can bring yourself to do it, be charitable of your own resources to those who are in need of your community or your tribe or group of people or whatever. Try not to get bogged down into personal drama, politics too much, while being supportive of people and trying to make peace between people that you care about, as a general rule. None of this sort of like, oh, my father is conservative and I'm progressive and therefore we can't eat at Thanksgiving together at all. Sometimes the problem is one side is a little too insistent that the other side converts, or they're both consistent and therefore they're both a problem in that regard. Sometimes you might have to make a rule that you're not going to talk politics at all. Sometimes you can talk beliefs or emphasis on various positions on what's moral and what's unethical and what's ethical and what's immoral. And just respect that you're different. It's individual in that regard, but that's the general emphasis should be on families and friends appreciating that each other might be different in some way, and so on. And then finally, don't demand everyone is identical to your position. That's a really difficult one for some people, but that's one of the reasons why there's so much strife in the world and so on. I'm not saying that people shouldn't necessarily be encouraged to be more like you necessarily if you have pretty good opinions. In my case, I think that my list is a set of good opinions, and I would encourage people to follow that more. But I'm not going to necessarily try and strong arm or blackmail someone to hold those opinions. I'm going to accept when someone is naturally progressive or naturally conservative, and I'll argue as logically as possible for my vision, with a little bit of emphasis on certain things. Like, for instance, as one example, I'll point out that a municipality estimated a staircase would cost $60,000, and someone built it for $600, which is about 100 times less money, or 1% of the cost. And he took the cost himself, so the municipality didn't even have to pay anything to get the job done, and they tore it down. When they admitted that they were going to try and make it, and then they just didn't make it in time, and someone said, I'll do it myself, and did it, and it was a really good staircase from what I saw in the picture, and they tore it down because it didn't give them an excuse to give their friends money, basically. And that's why I'm small government and low taxation, because I think that when you profit off of taking other people's money as a politician or something like that, you're going to be more and more encouraged by your own selfishness and greed to take more and more from other people who've actually earned their money instead of being parasites, like I think a lot of politicians are. Like, I'll make that argument, basically. And those are my rules for being right-wing, basically. And those are a couple names that I follow for a general gist of how I look at the world and who I trust a little bit in James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson's situation, a little bit, to make the occasional good point, I think. And the Nick Freitas, Sargon, Orrin McIntyre, the Distributist, the Prudentialist, and Andrew Klavan are who I trust to make a lot of good points, typically speaking. So that's my credentials of who I follow for right-wing thought, and that's my position and my rules on being right-wing in my case. They might differ from someone else. Oh, and one more rule, which is accept that not everyone is as selfless as you. If you're really selfless and you give from yourself to others a lot, accept that other people are going to want to keep more of what they earn as money. I just use it on themselves, possibly for fun stuff and so on. While gently encouraging them by suggesting they might feel better if they gave that beggar or hobo or homeless person a coffee, a sandwich, and a cigarette or something like that when they walk by them, or something if they're feeling particularly down about themselves. Yeah, that's basically it. Simple rule set, I guess, in a way. I kind of convoluted it a little bit, but I think you get the gist of it.